This is episode 6 of my ongoing deep dive into every single campaign and side quest of Dimension 20. In the past I covered all these, and I covered all these, and now I moved on to the Ravening War. And this is the very first campaign that I have watched as it has come out. When I first started watching was back in January, and Never After was going on at the time. But I kind of wanted to start from the very beginning with Fantasy High, and for the most part I worked my way through until I started to venture into some of the side quests, and when the Ravening War was announced, I knew that I would be breaking the streak of watching things, for the most part, in order to watch this. Why? Because A Crown of Candy is by far and away my all-time favorite campaign of Dimension 20 or Critical Role, of basically any live action Dungeons and Dragons out there. On top of that, we got Matt Mercer coming in as a DM, we got Brennan playing, we got returns of Abria Iyengar, Zach Oyama and Lou Wilson coming back into the fold in this world once again, and we had an amazing new introduction of Anjali, who most people might know as voicing Symmetra. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's jump into this. Now, the Ravening War is set years before the events of Crown of Candy and explores the events of, you guessed it, the Ravening War, the war we heard so much about throughout A Crown of Candy that caused the world to be the way it is, with the Emperor and the Concord and everybody falling in line behind him, but also the Bulbian Church being such a big presence in Calorum itself. We meet our 5 heroes, some from the poorer reaches of this land, others borderline royalty, some warriors, some outcasts, but each one of them has a secret that they do not want to get out.
If we're all admitting secrets, I wasn't always a firefighter.
And a secret order from the Bulbian Church holds that against them to do their bidding to get this war underway so that the Bulbian Church can rise and be the highest power in the land. Now, while A Crown of Candy was a very direct, nearly one-to-one Game of Thrones ripoff, like literally I talked for about 3 minutes in my last video, so I'm not going to go into it so much. When the Rox family is in the capital and they're finding out who the new emperor is, the Rox family is betrayed, and much like Ned Stark, King Amethar is taken off of his throne of Candia. This happens by betrayal from somebody that he thought was close to him. Liam is a ward of the Rox family, and he is a direct link to Theon. The twin sisters being direct carryovers of Arya, who have no desire for the throne or the royal life in any kind of way. King Amethar, funnily enough, is both like Jon Stark and Ned.
I'm not a Stark.
In the fact that he is this warrior that has no desire for this throne. King Amethar and Queen Caramelinda have a political marriage, much like Ned and his wife, Catelyn Stark. But also incredibly similar to them, King Amethar was not originally meant to be the husband of Caramelinda, just like Catelyn wasn't. Caramelinda was meant to be the wife of his older sister. Queen Saccharina is such a direct translation over from Queen Daenerys, straight down to her having a dragon being the actual heir to the throne. But every single aspect of A Crown of Candy was a direct link to Game of Thrones, right down to battle sequences that happening, to characters within that, to the point that I could actually predict the end. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. A Crown of Candy, like I said, is my all-time favorite Dimension 20 season. But this season, which I expected because of House of the Dragon being out, to be a one-to-one rip of House of the Dragon, is nothing like that. As far as I can tell, there's absolutely nothing taken from that. There are no uncles fucking nieces.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
And as far as I can tell with my keen eye, there are no bastards that are being told to be the true kings of the land. But, you know, maybe I just didn't watch close enough. This is an original Matt Mercer storyline, to the point that there are actually some moments in this that Brennan himself is surprised with things that Matt came up with for this world. When you think about it, not only is that impressive for Matt to unearth things in this that are going to surprise Brennan in the very own world that he created, but it is also rather, I don't know, kind of Brennan to give this world over to Matt for a season and to let him make changes and developments in this canon that he does not have a part in saying yes or no to. Like, the amount of trust that that has. Like, imagine giving somebody that level of control over like your baby, something that you poured so much of yourself into, which you realize with this world, Brennan poured so much of himself into and so much time and thought and effort. Now, for those of you that don't know what the setting of Calorum is, I will give it very briefly. Calorum is a food nation. It is split into the meat kingdom, the dairy kingdom, candy, bread, vegetable, and fruit. Everything in this world is food and edible, and all the people in this world are the foods of the kingdom that they hail from.
Lady Amango, she's Jessica Rabbit as a mango.
Parna is like short, small, slight, young chili pepper trying to affect a sense of calm.
Bishop Nathaniel Charlock, a very wizened, elderly radish. I have a big old red head.
Delisandro Katzen, a face right on the edge of boyhood before manhood, 19 years old.
Colin Provolone, he's not exactly the first hire someone would make. He's very greasy looking. He probably smells.
And then you have combinations foods, which are my absolute favorite. Like if you're on the border of the candy nation or the bread nation, maybe you'll be a cake. If you're on the border of the bread, the dairy, the meat, and all like that, maybe you're a pizza, which is very exciting.
Time is money, money is power, power is pizza, pizza is knowledge. Let's go.
But one thing that I felt lacked so much from A Crown of Candy was world exploration. Even though we have this huge, diverse, vast world that is so clearly fleshed out in Brennan's mind, we never got to explore it to the fullest extent that we could. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that that season was shorter because there was problems with the filming stage and the fact that they got shut down by the fire marshals and had to relocate. So from what I hear in the rumors is that we were supposed to have times in the Meatlands, but we couldn't get there just because they didn't have enough time in the shooting schedule anymore. So with this prequel, not only do we get to explore more of the Dairy Islands, but we also get to go to the Meatlands. We get to go to the Bread Nation. We're all over Vegetania and Frutatia, and we learn more about how the Bulbian Church came about. We learn more about how the politics are at play here. And honestly, the only place we really don't see is Candia, which is fine because we spent like 9-10 episodes of that in A Crown of Candy. Now, I touched on it very briefly in the beginning, but I want to talk about our characters and our players in this, obviously. I'm a blind boy. We have Abria Iyengar as Karna Solara, Anjali Bihimani as Queen Amango Epish Depish. Woo! Butchered that shit. Oh my god. Brennan Lee Mulligan as Bishop Nathaniel Charlock, Lou Wilson as Thane Delisandro Ketzan, and Zach Oyama as Colin Provolone. The easiest name out of those to say. Now I'm taking my glasses off again so you don't see the reflection, but now I am blind once more. The most surprising thing to me, honestly, is Lou and Zach returning to this. They were not quiet at all about the fact that A Crown of Candy fucked them up. Just like A Crown of Candy fucked anybody up that liked it. Like, I love A Crown of Candy. And I started watching it and I immediately got hooked. It was really phenomenal. And at first I was like, man, this is fun. This is such a creative universe. I picture it in my head. All these people are being silly and having a blast.
I'd be kicked down the stairs.
That's horrible. Who does that to you?
Oh, everyone. Sometimes I get scared they're going to do it, so I do it myself.
That's dark. That's a new level of darkness.
And then it got sad and main character started to die. And then we had an hour-long funeral sequence for a teenager, and I was, beside myself, and I watched this right before bed, and I couldn't imagine what it was like to play in this universe and embody these characters, but here Lou and Zach are again, embodying different characters inside this universe. Lou embodying a character that has to kill the mother of his old character, spoiler alert, but everything I talk about is a spoiler, so don't be surprised. I love seeing Abria come into this as a player. I really like her. I've enjoyed her in almost everything else she's been in. I listen to the podcast that she does, Worlds Beyond Number, and that's really great. And obviously I saw her as a DM in Misfits and Magic, but this is my first time seeing her as a player. And the amount that she embodies this character and does her face makeup, along with Anjali, who plays a mango in this, Amango, very clever name. She basically paints her face orange to match her character, and like it's really great how the lengths that these people go to to embody their characters and make it feel real and pull you into the theme of it. And then obviously, I fucking love anytime I get to see Brennan play. So far, the only other time I saw him play was in Misfits and Magic as Evan Kelp, and that was an amazing experience.
About 60 seconds left. Okay. You really should concede. If you're not going to concede, what do you want me to tell your family?
And then in this, he plays Bishop Rathaniel Charlock, a old radish bishop for the Bulbian Church. And he's very silly and he's fun, but he's also deep and dark, and he goes to these places that I don't feel like a lot of other players would be able to go, while also keeping it enjoyable to watch.
You know, it rarely comes up. I am a priest, if you want to talk, or...
You're holding a couple of heads right now.
And is your father's head fully gone?
I think it's pretty submerged.
Pretty submerged,
I don't
deep
know, there's
in
probably
there.
some chunks in
Maybe
there.
I'm just...
Rathaniel.
No, that was just very sad, your daddy. Ooh, I'm just gonna take my crozier and just sort of root around in this.
I guess I do want to kind of talk. If you.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. You know, that's the amazing thing about necromancy is it's not just, skeletons and stuff. It's closure.
Now, this is only a side quest, so one of my biggest fears going into this was that, like some of the other side quests, it would feel too short, because they're often, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes long at their very longest, and usually the campaigns are 20 plus episodes long, so we get to explore the worlds with these people in a much bigger way. So the side quests are often a lot more fun and whimsical and less explorative of character, and that's just kind of be expected. And I didn't want that from the Ravening War because it's not what I got and not what I loved about A Crown of Candy. But the use of time skips within this season is so brilliant because we meet the characters when they're very young before the war, and then the very next episode we skip forward in time after they have committed absolute atrocities of war and dealing with the fact that they have killed a well-beloved figure of A Crown of Candy, the mother of Amethar Rocks.
Queen Pamela Rocks, within the carriage, holding onto her crossbow, caught off guard.
Deli knows he's found his target and is going to attack Pamela Rocks twice.
And then the characters have falling outs with each other after they have years of relationships built up, and most of the time you wouldn't get to see characters evolve like this or build relationships like this over a short season of 5 to 6 episodes because it would probably take place over a couple days or a couple weeks at the most. But in this, we get to see people like Deli and Colin Provolone form bonds and relationships through war, but then separate because of differences of how to go about that war.
There can be no holding back, Colin. This is the moment. You heard Rathaniel, you heard the bishop. War is about to come. And the Meadlands will be united. And we will stand, and we will fight, and you will be there with me.
I think Colin's just gonna undo his belt that has his sword and his dagger on it and just drop it on the ground in front of him.
We get to see crushes evolve to wanted relationships between Lou and Abria. We get to see Rathaniel Charlock, played by Brennan, have his fall from grace as he descends into madness within the Bulbian Church. So it takes these 6 episodes and makes it feel like legitimately so much longer. It makes you feel like these relationships are real, that this war is taking years at a time and devastating the people around it. It's truly a brilliant way and very well executed. Like, time skips like these can make a story feel bland and like the characters are just 1 or 2 dimensional because you're not seeing aspects of their life. But Matt, the players themselves, really make it work in the perfect way. Now, speaking of Matt Mercer, I've talked about in the past how I've never been able to get into Critical Role, and a lot of that just has to do with because I'm intimidated by the pure number of episodes and time it would take to get involved. I started Dimension 20 because I wanted to get into some live action D&D, and going into Fantasy High with its like 20 something episodes is much more doable than going into Critical Role with its like 800 fucking something amount of episodes. But Matt Mercer is always talked about as the best DM to ever live and watch, and I'm not going to say Brennan is better or Matt is better because they are different, but holy shit do I get the hype of Matt Mercer now. The understanding that he has of this game, the noises that he can do, the way that he describes environments and people and situations to just pull you into this world, make you visualize it in your head. The way that he understands, like I said, this world that Brennan built and handed over to him for a side quest in a way that makes you think that he is the one that built this world is phenomenal. And seeing all the players light up anytime Matt says his catchphrase, "How do you want to do this?" is so amazing. And now it just makes me want to describe to Matt Mercer how I would do something.
Queen Pamela Rocks succeeds, but does not quite have the hit points. How do you want to do this?
Oh my God!
Now, the ending of this is anything but happy. In fact, two of the players, and again, I'm spoiling everything. Why are you here if you haven't seen it? Two of the players, Abria and Brennan, both die in the end, and not even saving anybody. They just rolled bad and they lost. And that was a pinnacle thing of A Crown of Candy, is that everybody had to make a backup character when they started, because Brennan was not pulling any punches. He was trying to kill these people. Oftentimes in combat, in Dimension 20, rules are stretched a little bit when players are about to die, because nobody wants their character to die. Nobody wants to watch the character die, but things were by the book in A Crown of Candy, and it is just the same in Ravening War. So when Brennan and Bria die in the end, it's not for the cause of anything. It's just because a war is going on. And then in the end, when evil is vanquished, which, by the way, I love the expansion of lore in this, with the hungry one being people, the great bulb above being the light in the fridge, and it makes you wonder, are humans a thing in this universe? Are they like the big grand evil? Is all of this just taking place inside of a fridge? I don't know. I would love more campaigns in A Crown of Candy. I hope they do a lot more, because it's such an amazing, amazing world to explore. But like I said, nobody gets a happy ending. Anjali kind of has the happiest ending, getting to go off and raise her child in peace. Colin Provolone has to travel the world and take out followers of the bulb of the secret organization. And Deli resigns his post as chief in his land and just ventures up north, which actually, now that I think about it, that's a very Jon Snow thing to do. Okay, maybe that was, yeah, no, that's a very Jon Snow thing to do. I found one thing that's Game of Thrones. I got you there. I got you, Matt. I figured you out. My point being, this was amazing. I had a phenomenal time, and I cannot absolutely wait for a new season of A Crown of Candy spin-off somewhere down the line, because this world is just so great, and I hope they keep doing it. You have to watch this, but if you're watching my video, God, I hope you already watched it. I spoiled everything for you. But thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos.